Today we are going to start working on the yards, and there are 7 of them. 3 of them have square sections, the rest are round. So we've gone to our Proxon saw with the carbide tip blade and knocked off some 6mm blanks, and we're going to start on the main yard as the first section. The main yard has the center section. It's a 5mm octagonal, and then it tapers down to the end to 3mm, and this is a circle, a round section. So this will be done, the round section will be done on the lathe, but first we're going to cut the section to make it easy to do on the lathe. We've adjusted the saw, and it's interesting, I thought this was perfectly square, but it isn't. So we've taken the lower side and we're going to quickly make this section the 5mm square, and then we'll have to readjust the blade to make sure that the other side is 5mm square. We've cut the main yard section down to 5mm, which we will turn into an octagon by planing down these pointed surfaces, the edge. And now we're going to taper the ends of it down to 3mm, because these we'll put on the lathe and hand sand once we get it down to a diameter of 3mm. So here we have it, tapered, square in the section, square tapering down here, and the same thing on the other side. So we're going to put this on the lathe now and round off these edges. Now we're going to sand or plane the octagon, and to do that I saw this somewhere, I really can't remember where. It's it holds pieces of wood so that the angle is straight up and down. It's in either Reverend Romero's book, or I really don't remember, but it's a great tool and allows you to plane or sand flat surface, certainly for 3 of the sides. I prefer to just sand it down rather than plane it down. We've just put on the sling cleats and the stop cleats, which are at the end here. Lining them up is really the only thing you need to be careful of, and I will angle this down. This is 1.5 by 1.5 square walnut, and these are off the plan. So all complete, ready to paint. We've finished the main yard. The sling cleat is installed and cleaned up, and the stop cleats at the end, I've just sanded them off at an angle, and we've put 2 coats on it. It's going to take maybe 3, maybe 4 coats. Still a little on the rough side. We've now just completed the mizzen top yard, and we'll just keep going. We broke the last cross jack yard and used that piece to make the top yard for the mainmast. So now we're remaking it, and I've already cut one side of the blank on the bandsaw. So we're just going to sand it down now and try to do it differently. That is, put it in a lathe and just round off as we come through, and flip it over and round off, pulling it through so there's not a lot of pressure on the end, because when you get down to 2 millimeters on the yard, the slightest amount of pressure will end up breaking, and that's what happened with my last attempt at this. So this way the stock is held very firmly in the jaws of the lathe, and you're only cutting a ½ inch at a time. So we'll see how that goes. When you're drawing the section to be cut out, you don't have to be absolutely accurate, because what you're really doing is just getting the general shape and taking off some of the bulk so that you don't have to do that work on the lathe. It's just so much easier to do it on the bandsaw. All done and ready to clean up. It looks pretty rough, but again, remember, the lathe is going to round it off and make it very even, so the roughness doesn't matter. You really, if you're concerned about it, it's always better to leave more than take too much off, because you can't fix it if you take too much off. And then we're going to reduce the center section, which is the octagon, on the pre-arc sliding table. But we can do that very easily, and this square gives the jaws a lot to hold on to when you have it in a lathe. Getting there. As soon as you find it getting a little unwieldy, you simply go back to the sandpaper and just taking your time to get it done. No rush. Sandpaper gets a little hot, let it cool down. Rotate the sandpaper a bit and use nice new sharp sandpaper, which takes off a lot. So that's what the section taken down looks like, and that's what we started with. This is the cross jack yard that's now complete, and we just need to turn the square section into an octagon. I know that when you see these expert videos, you think you just see the good part, but I just want to tell you that 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th attempt. I used a wood called roble, and it's really not as hard as you should use when you're working on a lathe, and it kept breaking on me. So it took 5 attempts to get this one. Part of the reason is I was also trying to rush it. Had I taken my time, maybe it would have just been 1 or 2. So we need to make another one exactly like this, and then I think there are only 4 others after that. Just to show you that you can use a block plane, this is a small block plane that came from Lee Valley. It's fantastic, and so you can put it in a block, and it works pretty good. The only thing you have to be careful of, I think I mentioned this once before, is it does have a way with the grain, and you can push it the wrong way and take big chunks out of it. This is the jack staff which fits on the bowsprit cap right here. So we just have to cut that off and drill a hole and fit it. And just a last quick look at the various yards and bowsprit, etc. As a checklist to make sure you've got everything right. Very, very comforting feeling knowing that this is now behind us. All the yards are now completed. We still probably have maybe another 2 or 3 coats on some of them, just to make sure we get the sanding all correct and that they're nice and smooth, but all made and ready to put the blocks on now.